Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Tuesday, the 16th. I'll have to check on that. But what are we going to do for today's video? This is something I've been thinking about quite a bit, and I don't put it out there. And it's one of those assume things again, where you just assume people know and you kind of skip over some of the important parts. And what we're going to talk about today is business is business. If you can understand business, you will see profits. But if you're just looking at a business per se for business and you don't understand the way things work, are you going to be successful? And the usual answer is no. So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric. If you didn't already know it, this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Tuesday, the 16th, I believe. I didn't check, of December. Still battling this chest cold, and it is what it is, right? You got to get up in the morning, put your big boy pants on, and get at it. Still going in the forward momentum, but not large steps, small steps. So what am I saying when I'm saying business is business? If you don't understand the basics of business, then you're probably not going to succeed because you're not looking at it the way you should be looking at it. And how should you be looking at it? Okay? Any business, you're doing something. You're either fixing somebody's problem, repairing, you're creating something tangible, but you're a problem solver. And if you can, it doesn't matter what niche you decide to go into for business, they all follow the same logic. And that is, A, you need to have a need for whatever you're looking at being in business for. B, people have to be willing to pay for that service or product. And how do you identify what is a good business venture and what is not? It's pretty easy. I mean, when it comes to the repair shop, all right, guys, we get the business because most of the customers that we have would rather pay us to get in the trenches and get dirty than for them to frig with it. And they don't want to learn how to do it, kind of like me with payroll. If you don't want to frig with it, sometimes it's easier to let the professionals do it, right? So we can use the repair shop as a typical business. And what is the repair shop doing? It's filling a need of problem solving for customers, okay? My lawnmower doesn't work. My lawnmower needs servicing. My chainsaw quit and I can't get it to start again. All of these are problems that you need to solve. You're the problem solver, all right? Where it gets dicey is you have to figure out, are we making a profit by doing it a certain way? Or are we just breaking even or going backwards? Before we did the diagnostic and started pushing that, we were seeing a lot of crap. Our regular customers find something on the side of the road and bring it in. And it would cost more to fix than anything. They're just hauling junk around. But once we did the diagnostic fee on everything, that slowed it to a trickle. People are not bringing in junk machines hoping for us to resurrect them because it just ain't happening. Is there a need for it to solve that problem with the really old machines, stuff like that? Yeah. But there's people out there, we talked about this yesterday, that are doing nights and weekends that don't have a lot of overhead that could fix those older machines, solve a problem, do it economically, and win-win for both, right? But I know what you're thinking. You just said you don't want that customer. I don't. I really don't. Because at the end of the day, everybody, I mean, I've actually told people who to go to have stuff fixed that are doing it nights and weekends that I think are doing a really good job. And it's extra income for them. I know a number of them that have already retired, and this is their gig now that they do. They've got a little shop in the garage or in an outbuilding, and they're doing it because they love doing it and getting enjoyment out of it. And I can tell you when you're retired, if you're not getting enjoyment out of it, you're not going to stick with it, right? But that I'm trying to get across to you is that the guy that's doing nights and weekends or just weekends or what have you, and me with overhead, utilities, building, all this other stuff, we each are finding our own niche, right? Where there's a need for it, but the need has to outweigh the cost of doing stuff. And when I say that, I mean, it doesn't matter if you can be a dog walker. If you want to be a dog walker, all you got to do is figure out who needs their dogs walked, right? And I've seen in the city where one person would have like 6, 7 dogs that they're walking up and down, Main Street with them. Just because you want to be a dog walker doesn't make you a dog walker. I guess what I'm trying to get across. Because if you haven't figured out how to get the clients, people that want their dogs walked, it's just a pipe dream, right? So you need to have enough research in the area for is there a need? That's how businesses develop, is if there's a want or need for something. And I know with you, Amos, you did the coils and stuff. And you took great pride in putting out a quality product. That's going to attract certain groups that you want to do business with. That's the niche. You're not competing with China. You're not doing one-off pieces of crap that leave the business. Everything that you've done, you can look back and say, I did a really good job at. And there was a need. I filled that need. And I know listening to you with this new group of people that are in there, they don't understand business. They're trying to cheapen everything and get rid of everything that they think is worthless. And they're not looking at getting a quality product. They're looking at getting out quantity. So when you change that, does it change the profitability of it? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like our hourly rate is $55, right? Okay, everybody in town is $120. I own my building, no mortgage. I have taxes on it. Nobody technically owns it. So I keep my overhead low, and I can do it for less. It's the same quality, but the customers that are going to these bigger shops at $120 and deciding it's not for us, those are the ones that I'm looking for that will trickle down into our area that are good customers, good paying customers, and they want it done right. No shortcuts, no cheating, no just, what do they call it? Toggling. Because that's the worst thing you could do is start toggling stuff. And so when we come to think about business, any business, you have to understand A, is there a need for it? B, are people willing to pay for it? And C, do you have the time to devote to it? A and B could be there, but if you're not willing to put the time in, you're probably not going to last in this business. And I can't emphasize enough that you're only as good as your last job, so you really need to put out just quality work. Don't have a mundane day where you just say, it's okay, we'll let this one go. I don't feel up to it. If you don't feel up to it, that machine should never go until you feel up to it. And that machine is done right. And we've had customers come in and have the seat switch bypassed, have the brake pedal bypassed, And we have to, I make it a policy in our shop. We put those back in. Now, what the customer does with it once they leave, I don't care. But when it leaves my shop, all the safety switches are going to work the way they're made to work. And you're going to say, well, what if the customer tells me just to leave it and that's the way they want it? Then you need to tell your customer that for liability purposes, you can't. See, I carry a $5 million rider on the business. And why do I do that? It's because the manufacturers have said, we need you to have a liability policy. So if you're working on one of our units and somebody gets hurt on it, they're going to sue you, not us. And that's exactly what will happen if you're running a shop. Someone gets hurt because you bypass something. You know, the last thing you want to do, and this is how I look at it, the last thing you want to do is the old guy's lawn tractor that he's disabled the seat switch on to find out that the granddaughter got on it, was just going to sit on it and it took off and she got hurt or killed or what have you on that mower because it wasn't set up with the correct safety switches. Technically, you're just as liable as he is because you allowed that machine to leave before doing the proper thing, and that's putting all those back in place. You know, even if it's just a used switch to put back in place. And I tell my customers, when you get home, you can do whatever you want with it. But when it leaves here, this is how it's going to be, okay? And I'll try not to charge you extra just because you're just going to go home and disable it. There's a reason why we carry a large liability policy, and that is when you're working on somebody else's stuff, when you're repairing somebody else's stuff, if there's a failure and somebody gets hurt and it's because of something that you did or you didn't do, you're liable. So keep that in mind too. But all the businesses, no matter what business you're looking at, whether you're going to be a baker and make cookies, there has to be a need, right? We have a bunch of people that are looking for homemade cookies, okay? And then are they willing to pay the price point of where you're making a profit on your cookies? Business is business. It's not always a product that you're putting out like a cookie or a coil. It could be the repairs that you're putting out of where you're solving somebody else's problem. Could be a service on a machine which is tangible. That's parts and time. You know, I guess what I'm trying to tell you is you really need to take the time in the beginning to figure out, you know, I don't care what business you want to be in, or even if you're not sure even what business you want to be in, start looking around your area and look where there's a need for something. Look where others are not fulfilling that need. What could you do that would create a need and be the problem solver or a selling of a tangible product like a cookie to enough people to make it viable? Just because you have a small engine repair shop in downtown Main Street doesn't mean that you're going to be busy all the time. You may get the ones driving by that see it so that it's a plus for you because we're way off in the middle of nowhere. But in the end, it's going to be the quality of work or the quality of the product that came out. And did it fulfill a need that was in that community? And did everybody get value? Did the customer get a good cookie? Did the store owner that's making the cookies, are they enjoying their work and making good cookies and still making it profitable? That's where you have to look. I've seen a lot of places locally here in our little hamlet where they started a donut shop. That lasted about a month. Not enough people interested in it. Then they went to an ice cream parlor type thing. Same deal. That lasted a couple months, but there wasn't enough foot traffic coming in and out of the establishment to make it a viable business. So selling ice cream or selling donuts is something that could be done, but the one selling donuts was already competing with someone that had a store and was making donuts for years. The homemade raised donuts and stuff. Raised donuts. And the donuts didn't compare to the other shop. So that's the other thing, is quality. You're trying to put out the best thing you can put out, whether it's repairs or a product. Simple as that. Is there a need? Check it out. How do you do it? Hit Google. It'll tell you how to research your area to see if there's a need for whatever you're coming in with. Just because it works somewhere else does not mean it's going to work here. If that makes any sense. The only time that it does is like franchise. McDonald's, KFC, because the corporate office still has control over the product. And the product should be the same no matter what place you go to. They buy all their own potatoes, cut all their own fries. They buy all their own beef. They make all of their own beef patties. And that's the control that the taste is going to be equivalent whether you're in Florida or New York. But I wouldn't jump into thinking that franchising is the way to go. In the comments, I'm hoping I'm getting the point across that as long as there's a need, it's profitable, you're going to do all right. As long as you do good customer service. Even if you have the best product or service, if there's not a need there for it, it's not going to happen. You're not going to make it. I've seen people try to create a need. But the best businesses are the ones that have someone that has the foresight to see where that need is and how to capitalize on it. So on that note, you guys have a great Tuesday. Again, put in the comments, what do you think? Amos, put in your 2 cents. Jason, Ed, if you look at business a certain way, you're going to find that it goes across all spectrums. It's business is business. You know, then you can get into the smaller segments like shady businesses. Don't get into that. You guys enjoy your Tuesday.